Dear friends, have you ever wondered, if you were a father, what would be the most important lesson you'd teach your child? Today, let's take a moment to listen to a story filled with wisdom and heart. It's a story about how the Buddha, the enlightened one, taught his son Rahula to become a person of true virtue. But these lessons aren't just about morality. They are lessons on how to live, how to understand oneself, how to breathe, and how to find peace within. So, for just a little while, let's set aside the worries of daily life. Sit back, breathe deeply, and listen closely. This story just might inspire you in ways you never expected. A special encounter. After many years away from his homeland of Kapilavastu in search of enlightenment, the Buddha finally returned. His arrival was met with the eager gazes of his family and the citizens of the royal palace. Every step he took was calm and steady, as if each footfall carried the cool breeze of compassion, soothing the restless hearts of those around him. His presence alone was enough to bring peace to the entire kingdom. Among the gathering crowd was a small boy with bright, curious eyes and a heart full of wonder. That boy was Rahula, the Buddha's son. Only 7 years old at the time, Rahula could sense that his father was no longer the royal prince he once knew. His father had become something far greater, a fully awakened teacher, one who had found true wisdom. Overcome with curiosity and admiration, Rahula hurried through the crowd, making his way to his father. His eyes sparkled with excitement as he called out with the innocence of a child, "Father, what have you discovered in all these years? Can you teach me what you've learned?" The Buddha gazed at his son with eyes full of kindness and compassion. A gentle smile appeared on his face as he placed his hand on Rahula's head. His voice was calm and steady, like the soft ripples of a still lake. "If you wish to learn, then prepare your heart and mind, my son. I will teach you step by step. But first, you must learn how to master yourself." From that moment on, Rahula never left his father's side. With a heart filled with eagerness and a mind ready to learn, he followed the Buddha closely, hoping to one day become as wise as his father. But the Buddha knew that raising a son was not the same as guiding a disciple. Teaching one's own child requires patience, understanding, and a different kind of wisdom. To ensure that Rahula would grow into a person of virtue, the Buddha entrusted him to a great teacher, Venerable Sariputta, one of the Buddha's most intelligent and virtuous disciples. This encounter was more than just the beginning of Rahula's spiritual journey. It was a powerful symbol of the bond between father and son. It showed that true love is not about indulgence or spoiling a child, but about guiding them with patience, wisdom, and compassion. The first lesson: learning to breathe. The very first lesson that Rahula received from Venerable Sariputta was not some grand philosophy or a complex teaching. Instead, it was something so simple that we all do it every day, yet few of us truly understand it. The lesson was about breathing. Sitting together beneath the shade of a large, quiet tree, Venerable Sariputta spoke slowly and clearly to Rahula. "Rahula, do you know what stays with you from the moment you were born until the day you leave this world?" Rahula tilted his head, his young mind deep in thought. After a moment, he answered innocently, "Is it my mother, my father, or my body?" Venerable Sariputta smiled kindly. Those are all good answers. But there is something even closer to you than all of these: your breath. Your breath is with you every moment of your life, but most people forget it's even there. From that day on, Rahula was taught how to sit still, cross his legs, keep his back straight, and focus on the simple rhythm of his breathing. In and out, in and out. At first, Rahula found it difficult. His eyes darted around, his mind restless. Sitting still felt uncomfortable, and his patience ran thin. But with Venerable Sariputa's patient guidance, Rahula began to notice something extraordinary. Every time his thoughts wandered or his heart felt unsettled, he would bring his attention back to his breath. Slowly, his mind grew calm, like the surface of a lake after the winds have died down. Venerable Sariputa explained, people are easily swept away by their emotions. Joy, sadness, anger, and worry. But if you learn to return to your breath, these emotions will pass like clouds drifting across the sky. Your breath is like a lantern in the darkness. If you hold it steady, it will light your way. But if it flickers and shakes, the path will be unclear. So keep your breath steady and your mind will see everything clearly. This simple yet profound lesson left a deep impression on young Rahula's heart. He realized that in moments of anger or fear, he didn't have to act out or run away. Instead, he could sit quietly and breathe deeply. With each breath, his heart grew calmer, his mind clearer. This lesson isn't just for Rahula. It's a lesson for all of us. In moments of stress, worry, or confusion, instead of reacting right away, pause for a moment. Breathe. Take a slow, deep breath in and a slow, deep breath out. Don't rush. Let each breath guide you back to a place of peace. When you do this, you'll find that peace was always within you. It was just waiting for you to notice it. The lesson on words: do not lie. After Rahula had mastered the practice of mindful breathing, the Buddha realized that his son was ready to learn a more profound lesson, the lesson of truthful speech. One day, the Buddha called Rahula to his side. Holding a small bowl of water, the Buddha slowly poured its contents onto the ground. Then turning to his son, he asked, "Rahula, did you see how the water was poured out?" Rahula nodded. "Yes, Father, I saw it." The Buddha spoke with a calm, steady voice. "That is exactly what happens when you tell a lie. Each time you lie, it's like pouring out the water in this bowl. Once it's gone, you can never put it back." Rahula lowered his head, deep in thought. He remembered a time when, in his playful mischief, he had told small lies to tease the people around him. At the time, it seemed harmless. But now, with his father's words in mind, he understood that even a small lie could cause harm, and once it was spoken, there was no way to take it back. The Buddha continued his teaching. Before you speak, ask yourself, is it true? Is it helpful? If the answer is no, then it is better to stay silent. He then explained further. Of the three actions that shape a person, body, speech, and mind, it is our speech that often creates the most harm. A single word, spoken in anger or carelessness, can wound another person for a lifetime. Rahula looked up at his father with eyes full of determination. "I understand now, Father. From this day forward, I will be mindful of every word I say." This story serves as a reminder to all of us. In today's world, words are no longer spoken only with our mouths. They are typed and shared through social media, texts, and online comments. Before pressing send, ask yourself, is this message necessary? Will it cause harm? If the answer is yes, then perhaps it's better to pause. Words, once spoken or posted, cannot be taken back. They are like the water poured onto the ground. No matter how hard you try, you cannot gather it up again. The lesson from the four elements: earth, water, wind, and fire. This time, the Buddha led Rahula to a quiet forest. Beneath the shade of a large, leafy tree, the Buddha sat down and spoke to his son with a calm, steady voice. "Rahula, Do you know what everything in this world is made of? Rahula thought for a moment, his eyes narrowing in concentration, before answering, "It all comes from my parents, doesn't it?" The Buddha smiled gently, his eyes filled with kindness and understanding. "That's true in one sense, but it's not the whole picture. Everything in the world is made up of 4 essential elements: earth, water, wind, and fire. If you understand the nature of these 4 elements, you will know how to live in harmony with the world around you." The Buddha continued his lesson, pointing to each element in turn. Let's start with earth. The earth is patient and accepting. It doesn't complain when people walk on it, build on it, or even throw garbage on it. And when people place gold or treasures on it, the earth does not feel pride. Be like the earth, Rahula. Be steady and unshaken by praise or criticism. Do not let the words of others disturb your peace of mind. Next, learn from water. Water flows freely. It moves around obstacles with ease, always finding a way through. It doesn't fight to stay at the top, but flows naturally to lower places. In life, there will be times when you face challenges. Like water, you must be flexible. Sometimes it's better to yield than to resist. Find a way to move forward even when obstacles are in your path. Now let's look at wind. Wind is free. It moves without boundaries, flowing through every space, every corner of the world. It belongs to no one and is tied to no place. Be like the wind, Rahula. Don't let yourself be trapped by attachment or petty concerns. Keep your heart open and free. If you hold on too tightly to things, you will suffer. But if you learn to let go, you will be free to move in any direction. Finally, understand fire. Fire can burn away what is no longer useful. It brings light to the darkness and purifies what is impure. Your mind is like fire, Rahula. Use the fire of wisdom to burn away greed, anger, and ignorance. Let this fire bring light to your heart and clarity to your mind. With clarity, you will see the truth and walk the path of wisdom. As Rahula listened, he grew quiet. His eyes slowly moved from the ground beneath him to the flowing stream nearby, to the gentle wind blowing through his hair, and finally, to the warmth of the sun's rays on his skin. For the first time, he felt the presence of the 4 elements, not just around him, but within him. The coolness of the earth beneath him, the sound of water flowing steadily, the feeling of the wind brushing his face, and the warmth of fire from the sun above. The Buddha saw the reflection in his son's eyes and spoke softly, "Your body too is made up of these 4 elements. Your bones are earth, your blood is water, your breath is wind, and the warmth of your body is fire. But remember, Rahula, none of these elements truly belong to you. They are borrowed for a time, and one day they will return to the earth, the water, the wind, and the fire. So cherish your body, but do not be attached to it. It is not yours to keep forever." From that day on, Rahula never forgot the lesson of the 4 elements. He practiced patience like earth, flexibility like water, freedom like wind, and clarity like fire. These lessons became his compass in life. They guided him in every challenge he faced, and they remain timeless wisdom for all of us today. Dear friends, the story of how the Buddha taught his son is not just a tale from over 2,500 years ago. It is a timeless lesson that still speaks to all of us today. Learn to breathe so you can calm your mind and find peace within. Learn to speak truthfully so your words bring kindness, not harm. Learn from the elements, earth, water, wind, and fire, so you can be strong like the earth, flexible like water, free like the wind, and clear like fire. If we can practice even a small part of these lessons each day, our lives will surely become more peaceful, more compassionate, and more full of joy. It all begins with a single breath. Breathe in, breathe out. And from this moment on, live each day with mindfulness, my friends.